Hi there, it's Nicole for Simon Says STAMPtember, and today's card features the exclusive Waffle Flower How We Roll stamp set. It's this great stamp set that has these cute candies and lots of fun greetings. I'm going to use one of the solid images from the How We Roll stamp set and stamp it on a white card base. I'm going to make sure my stamps are really clean. I am using some lighter colors with the solid candy image, and then I'm going to use a darker tone-on-tone color with the patterned image on top. So it's going to be some stamp layering using one of the images and then either the stripe or the polka dot candy stamp. So I'm going to start with the Cotton Candy Simon Says Stamp ink, which is a very light pink. And I'm going to stamp that about 3 times here on my card base. Then I will take the Hollyhock ink, and using both the stripe and the polka dot, I am going to stamp that right over the candy image. And it's going to give a great tone-on-tone effect. I think the pink is a little hard to see the tone-on-tone because the cotton candy is so light, but it's easier to see here when I'll stamp some of the other colorful candies. What I'm doing is creating a patterned background with these stamps. So in between each ink color change, I really need to make sure that I get the stamps good and clean. I'm going to go with the Jelly Bean ink next, which is this awesome green. And I'm going to stamp it about 3 times as well. Go ahead and clean that off so it's ready to use next time. And then I'm going to take the Lucky ink, and again I'll use the stripe and the polka dot to stamp the candy image over that. So you can really see the tone-on-tone well with the 2 green inks. These are all dye inks, so as the ink dries, it will fade or mute just a little bit. It won't be quite as bright or vibrant. It won't fade a ton, but as the ink is absorbed into the paper, it'll kind of flatten out. So even anywhere where there's kind of some of that more uneven looking of the ink, it will dry nicely. I'm using the Spring Rain ink now. This is going to be my lighter blue ink. And then I will use the Scuba ink over that. This is just a really fun way to create your own patterned background. I think these candies are so super fun. I had another idea. I thought it would be fun to create like a rainbow assortment of them, maybe along the bottom edge of a card or something. I think that would be fun as well. You could also take the coordinating die. I just used the images without the die here today, but you could definitely take the coordinating die and stamp all of them on a separate piece of paper and then die cut each of them out and adhere them exactly where you want them to go. And here's the Scuba ink. I'll stamp that right over the Spring Rain solid stamped image. Again, I want to make sure that I clean the stamps really, really well before I move on to my next color. Next, I am going to use the Duckling ink for the solid yellow. Try to figure out where I want to fill these in. After I do all of the solid yellow there, I'm going to take the Sunshine ink and stamp over that, again with the polka dot and striped stamps. And I'm just going to continue to do this until the background is completely filled up. To clean my stamps, I'm using the Ultra Clean from Hero Arts and the scrubber pad. That's going to get these stamps super, super clean so that you remove any of the ink that is on them so you don't transfer that, especially when using maybe a lighter color after using a darker color like maybe that Lucky Green or whatever. I'm going to use the Melon ink for the solid on the orange. And then I will move to the Sunkissed ink for the pattern on top. And you can tell with the orange there, I really filled in some of those areas that were along the edges. So there's not a complete full candy anywhere on the card, but it does fill in some of those edges nicely. The only thing is that bottom right corner, and I actually added another pink candy down there. I'm going to use this label die from the Frames die cut set and die cut it from vellum, and I'm going to just keep the inside portion on that. And then I'm going to take some scraps of black cardstock and die cut the frame again 4 times, and I'm going to only keep or use the little teeny tiny skinny frame, and that's going to go around it to frame up my greeting. I'm going to be stamping the greeting on that vellum label and then framing it up with the layered black frames. So it's going to give it a really nice effect. So I'm just going to get all those little teeny tiny frames out there. I'm going to take a powder tool to the vellum label, and then I'll stamp the greeting, "Thank you, sweetie," right there in the middle of the vellum label. I'm going to use Versamark ink for that. Sprinkle on some white embossing powder to make that pop. I love the look of a vellum embossed greeting over a patterned background like this. I'm going to hide my adhesive behind the embossed greeting and just add a couple of small dots in 4 of the corners. And then I'm going to place that right on the background, kind of center towards the top of the card, and then lay something heavy on it to help that lay flat. While that glue is drying, I'm going to go ahead and take the little teeny tiny skinny black frames, add some little dots of zig glue adhesive to the back of each of these, and stack them one on top of another. This is going to give them some really nice dimension. With little thin frames like this, it is really difficult, and I would say probably next to impossible, to add foam adhesive to the back of these without it showing. So what I like to do if I want a dimensional frame is to die cut the frame several times and then glue them together one on top of another. You could also use some sticky adhesive on the back of the cardstock and then die cut it and then adhere them one on top of another. That would be another great way to do it. I didn't have any when I was creating this card, so I just used the zig glue pen. I find it works great, so I was comfortable using that, and I had it readily available, so that's what I used here. I'm going to go ahead and add adhesive on the back of that, remove those acrylic blocks, and then frame up the vellum frame. I love that you can see the candies in the back, and there I did a mistake that I haven't done in quite some time. I adhered it all upside down. So I had to trim that off and adhere it to another card base. But I love that you can see those candies through the vellum greeting. So I'll just adhere this to another card base. That's how you can fix that little error. And my card is all finished with a scattering of pretty pink posh sequins. Thanks for watching this video showcasing the Waffle Flower How We Roll stamp set for STAMPtember at Simon Says Stamp. The supplies I've used are listed and linked below the video on YouTube. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.